Orlando has long been known as the City Beautiful, also known as the City with a
Sound. Live on stage, the sound.
Orlando!
So, if they ready?
You mean to say that's the best you can do? Hip-hop is something you live. Almost anybody could do better than that. You know? Okay, the sound of Orlando!
Show.
Knock this down like it's supposed to be.
On your FM dial.
This is to turn the whole this up.
Hey, yo!
Breaking news never stops.
Turn this motherfucking sound up, man. Blast this is to turn the whole this up.
Yeah, over the years I've been alive, I've been through struggles, but I never gave up. It wasn't my construct, see my brothers caught up, served years and undoubtedly re-enter society blindly. No matter what I said to him, maybe I didn't listen enough for me to settle and wind up in prison. I watched my friend die at the age of 17, knowing that he had dreams that he would not see. Yeah, I made mistakes, many held them against me. Brother, I was lost, the pain was unfriendly, broken, hands being cut by glass. Never thought I'd grow old, but it went by fast. Biggest question that I ever had is, did I do what I wanted to do with no regrets, or did I waste time upset? Some years have been lost behind it. I was reminded when I lost my wife and kids, I was debilitated, depressed and very insulated, headed for a future alone and uneducated. A proverbial statistic, never had a father that taught me by wisdom. I needed when my mom died. At the time I couldn't cry. It's like a misplaced time, even though she may have left thinking I would be fine. It's a shift in the paradigm that would define every step going forward. What else could I do but to leave this behind? It's time to make moves. Luckily I found my muse. From destruction to reconstruction, forgiveness rules.
Welcome to the show, everybody, man. Yes. Sound of Orlando show is back. We've been off for a few days. Welcome to the show. If you want to know what you heard just a minute ago, that is a song called Restore. And for anybody out there suffering from any kind of, depression, struggling with, feeling like they're alone, that song is for you. It's a reminder that not only do we have to forgive other people, which seems like the hardest thing to do, actually the hardest thing to do is to forgive yourself. And without being able to forgive yourself, you cannot restore yourself. So for all of those that may be struggling with the stresses of life right now and dealing with a lot of things out there, make sure you take time out to forgive yourself. And you could do that. You have the entire universe's permission to forgive yourself. That comes with the ticket on earth. And I know for a lot of people that requires a daily thing, a habit for you to do. Most of us have a lot of failures throughout the day that we have to forgive ourselves for. That we have to remember they're not failures, they're lessons. So anybody listening to the sound of my voice who cares about our fellow brothers and sisters out here, make sure that you take time out to forgive yourself, because that will absolutely give you the ability to forgive others. We all are better when we are forgiving people. Okay. So yes, that is called restore. Welcome to the Sound of Orlando show. Man, glad to be back. Feels like we've been gone for a minute. It's just what it is. Shout out to UBO. Shout out to all my peoples, man. Jay Terra and his band of banditos they went on an Iron Cow and murdered the stage. It was just nonstop. I really was impressed with the entire event. Of course, I was on the ones and twos, so man, it was just awesome to be a part of that and celebrate our people out in the city who are doing big things for music, and it was an honor to be there and just do my thing. So shout out to Saturday Memorial Day weekend. I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. Shout out to my sister Bianca. Yes, forgive yourself. She says, I needed to hear this message. You damn right. We all do. Nobody's exempt. We all have to forgive ourselves daily, and realize that we're not alone. We all suffer from the same madness, just in different ways. And I know we live in a world that people like to believe that, somebody's shit is better than someone else's. That's not the truth. Truth is that's what makeup is for. That's what, social media platforms are for in a lot of ways, and pictures of one moment. If we had pictures to describe the entire story, I believe we'd crash all the servers. So when it really boils down to things, man, part of what makes our story beautiful is that it is imperfect. It is ugly at times. And that's where all the beauty is. That's where all the money is. Shout out to my man, Process in the house, and shout out to UBO. But yeah, we all need to hear it. As I was doing the song, it reminded me of those moments that I was going through what I was going through, and having to remind myself, this is just the chapter. This ain't the entire book. So I love all of you guys. I'm always glad when people come on board and listen to what we're trying to do, because the sound is humanity, right? The sound isn't clout. The sound is us, our people, our family. The sound is us. So welcome to the Sound of Orlando show. I am your boy, Rome. Now, our next guest tonight is a music producer, doing his thing out in the California area, okay, representing Sacramento. He's got a project out right now, and we're going to get into a lot of kind of for my gearheads, people that like to know about making of music, things of that nature. The producers, I love my producers. As a fellow producer, it's always interesting to hear what inspires them, what makes them tick, what makes them vibrate on the level that they vibrate. And man, we always hear about the front of the house. Well, now we're about to hear from the back of the house. Okay, so let's introduce my brother representing Sacramento, California. You already know, Andrew Lozano. Let's go.
Dang, what an intro. Powerful, man. You got me. I feel you.
Oh, man, that's dope, man. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you were able to hear that.
Yeah, that was good, man. I wasn't expecting it, and that song was dope, too, man.
I appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. Beats by Premier. Beat by Premier. But, yes, that is my song. And it's our song in a lot of ways. Like I said, it's just ability to kind of really look at yourself and realize that we make things more complicated than they sometimes have to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes all it takes is I forgive myself and move the hell on.
Yeah.
Fuck grudges.
Yeah.
Grudges are bad for business. But welcome to the show. Welcome to Orlando, man. Glad to have you on. And let's definitely get into who the hell we're talking to.
For sure.
From my peoples that or in Orlando that may not know who you are, give a little background. How did you get into the music business? And, what inspired you to approach this thing of ours that we all love?
Well, man, thank you for sure for having me on the show. Well, I'm originally actually from San Jose, California.
San Jose, nice, okay.
Yeah, Bay Area kid, lived in San Francisco for a little bit, but mainly was from San Jose. Met my wife, moved up to Sacramento, and this is where I met. This is my nest egg right here in my studio. This is my garage conversion. But yeah, man, I started off like everyone else, young age. In grade school, I joined like they called it the Sylvandale Select Group. And I was in a co-ed type of choir group. And I think that's where I actually found my niche, listening to others and singing. And it wasn't shortly after that I started picking up the bass, and I was really into like the bass. And I really wanted to play guitar when I was younger, but the neighborhood kids wanted to start a band. So my brother was a guitar player. There was another guitar player, and we had a drummer named Twinkie, and I just ended up being the bassist. And I ended up picking up the bass pretty well. I wanted to be like Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers or Bootsy, And from there, I just was doing some shows at schools, winning talent shows, playing at local clubs underage, and potentially got myself into joined a bunch of other groups. And then I got into a trio group with a brother and sister, and we called ourselves Unique, UNEAQ. And we used to do kind of jazzy, like the Brand New Heavies type of music every Thursday at the Agenda Lounge on North First Street in San Jose. That was the spot. Everyone knows me. They know that's where I would be every Thursday. And we got into that type of music. And eventually we lost our drummer, and I lost my MC, lost my my DJ. And I'm like, well, what are we going to do? And at that time, I was doing some house music, not really DJing yet, but I really wanted to keep the band together. So I incorporated my PC at the time as a fourth band member, eventually making the drummer, right? And I started dabbling into a little bit of house music. And since I had a female vocalist and she was a really cool soulful singer, we decided to go from what we were playing before, that type of genre, and incorporate it into a soulful house music band. And we got picked up on an independent label out of San Francisco. You may have heard of it. It's called Ohm Records. We got a lot of big artists like Mark Farina, Bass Nectar. I mean, there's a lot of people under the stairs. There's a whole big group of folks from the Bay Area who jumped on the label independently. And we toured we went to Miami, did the Winter Music Conference in '94. We killed it. We did every single gig, and we had the people that I looked up to were now coming to our shows, like the big DJs, because now we were producing the music live. And we came up with our first EP in '94 on Green Gorilla Lounge out of San Francisco. And and then we came out with a couple of, and these are records, okay? We're not talking about CDs, peeps. We're talking about vinyl records, 100-gram records. And these are EPs I got up on my wall right here. I'm very proud of them. Yeah, and so, I was with the band for close to 10 years before we dismantled. We kind of just went our own ways, and I became a solo artist by myself, just kind of DJing and producing other folks. And I eventually came up with my own music label called Freaky Music Group, FREQY Music Group. And I have this studio here that's been a dream of mine. I've been wanting since I've been a kid. And so I've decided, after producing and mixing and mastering so many people, and I'm very proud of the accomplishments I've made, I decided to do something for myself last year. So I just started working on my first album. It's called Conceptualize. And me being a house head and having a lot of house music produced and out there, I wanted to do something a little slower. So I brought it down to a slower BPM, anywhere from 85 to 100 BPM. And you may call it lo-fi. Some people call it, mixtape beats, But I kind of came up with something, and I honed in on it. And it potentially spawned another album that I'm releasing this year in September called High Tide. So my first album, Conceptualized. The next album is going to be High Tide. A lot of good features on this one.
Dope. Let's go back to that lo-fi. We kind of kicked it around laughing about it earlier, but why do you think it's important for it to be genreized based on, like how you look at it? I know you don't look at it that way, but I'm saying in your perspective, because you hear this all the time, and I think it just does an injustice to people as a whole. It puts them in a box into which if they try to do anything else, sometimes it makes them feel like, it makes it like for marketing purposes, it just like, oh, I didn't know you were doing that, instead of it being, it's Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones does everything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, that genre lo-fi has been around for a while. I mean, you got like The Weeknd is doing some lo-fi 80s stuff. I mean, there's a lot of lo-fi artists, lo-fi drum and bass. I mean, whatever. I mean, I write electronic music because I'm on a computer. Right? I play bass, I play keys, I play everything. I don't like to label myself, but the genres I fell into on this album came under the lo-fi so-called genre. But what is lo-fi, right? Lo-fi to me is like degraded, like tape cassette sounding. You got a crackle of your vinyl in the background, you're cutting out the highs and the mids, and you just have the highs and the lows, and you have more of the mid-range, like they call it elevator music. I mean, Tribe Called Quest was busting out with this stuff way before we ever got our hands on it.
Right. We just called it analog.
Yeah, analog sound, right? It's analog, right? It's like reel-to-reel sounding. Some people artificially make it. I actually use my vinyl records that make my own samples.
Right.
That tone, but I basically was trying to take that sound. It was Creative Cow was a label. It's you can see it on Spotify. They got a whole bunch of artists. I even submitted music to them. It didn't get picked up yet, but it will. And I liked the sound, but I didn't want it to sound so tinny. I wanted to take all my production that I do in the house music world. So I'll take a TR 909 kick and an 808, mix them together, and you have this really thumping kick with a low end bass, so it can really bump in your car. Yet it's got this really cool element that bumps with the gate side compression. So I put all the elements in there and a little bit of
shit.
You gotta be creative, man.
We don't got to that point real quick. Okay, so for all our newbies who don't know what the hell side chaining is, what is side chain compression?
Okay. Well, I would say if you were listening to a lot of house music or even some commercial music, anytime that kick would hit, it would duck the music. So it's a kind of a call and response. So it would go, that would be like the fist pumping thing you see on a lot of the quote EDM stuff. Well, in hip hop, you get a lot of that. Jay Dilla used to use it a lot. He used to use compressors to kind of get that pumping action. So everything kind of has its own space.
Right.
I took out the compressor because that was like the go-to. And my secret weapon is I use a gate. And I have the release pumping a little different. So I'm using it like a sidechain compressor, but I'm using a gate. So every time the kick would hit, the gate would close and then reopen. So it gives you a pulse. So when you're listening to it, it's bumping, it's thumping, it's got you in the groove, and you got mesmerizing, if you will.
Well, that's dope because you're using the compression, the gate, in a way that back in the days we used that. We take the hi-hat to trigger that gate, so that we put the instrument and it would, or sample, and it would follow the rhythm of that hi-hat, so it doesn't take the whole, space of that music. Yes, and we would get that kind of effect, and maybe a slow release on it, so it's not immediate cut off.
Exactly.
Attack. And man, but that's pretty damn dope to kind of use it that way.
Yeah, and I kind of came up with that. I was really into Daft Punk when I was younger, and I researched how they got their kind of a compression attack, and it was an Alesis compressor 2-channel, and I have it back there, and I had it here for a while, and I geared it up, and it wasn't quite getting the effect that I was looking for. I wanted an immediate response, so I switched over to the gate using Logic Pro, and I put it on a bus, put all the music going through a bus, and I was able to really fine tune and control, because the thing with electronic music is that you're in control. It's not like the olden days where you hit a stomp pedal and you got a delay and you have no control of it unless you go down there and mess with the knobs and stuff. With electronic music, you can go in and modify and adjust your edits with just, hitting the automation and having it sweep in and out whenever you want. And that's what I did. I had to take creative control with Conceptualize. I want to take you on a journey, but I needed to hone you in. Kind of like Nine Inch Nails when Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails, the lead vocalist, when he made Pretty Hate Machine, he went to different, his second album, he went to a jail to interview rapists. This is the most terrible story you've ever heard, right? But he wanted to get into the mindset of what they were thinking. So his music was basically raping the listener. And I kind of took that idea, like, if I'm going to have you listen to my music, I'm going to suck you in with this groove. I'm gonna have that gate come in. So it's like breathing in life, breathing in the sound in your mind. You're listening to it. And all the little elements are just little sprinkles on top. And I just wanted to make it sound hella dope, but with the big atmosphere, breathing, it's, I don't know, man. It's still a work in progress, but my second album is going to bring more of those elements.
Well, I know that shit sounds dope. And I'm pretty sure for everybody that maybe, is on a check-in that does music, you do that in Logic, you do that Ableton, you do that Pro Tools. Mm-hmm. In some convoluted way, you probably do it in Fruity Loops. There you have it. So you said Logic, right? So what's some of your weapons of choice that you like to use, if you will?
All right, I'm about to be real right now, and I have to pull things back with my techniques. Right now, my secret weapon is a shimmer. It's called Val Shimmer by Val Hal, I think they're called. And what that does is, like, if I have a really cool angelic vocal just kind of hitting up there in the high frequencies, and I put this thing on it, it will pitch and detune her vocals in a reverb sense. So the tail end of her or his or whatever vocal you have will just kind of tail off. And then from there, I'll put the gate on there. So as soon as the beat comes in, she's like, it's beautiful. And that shimmer is like my secret weapon right now. And if you don't know what it is, get it. I mean, that is one of my secret weapons. I also use Slate Digital. I use their Anna 2 synth.
Shout out to Slate. Yep.
Yeah, shout out to Slate, man. You get the all-purpose pass. It's for $9.99. And I use, here we go. This is made by Slate Digital too. This is because, don't get me wrong, I love my speakers. I got some big old KRKs, some Mackeys, I got some Personas, I got some more KRKs. I'm surrounded, but I use these Slate Digital headphones, the VSX. These ones right here are headphone modelers. So if I want to be in a studio in LA, I just go and open up the app, and now I'm in the studio in LA, and I can A and B those speakers from here, so I can see and check my mixes. Another cool item is I have the Slate Digital Mic. It's a mic modeler. So you don't have
the virtual mic. Yeah.
You don't have to spend $18,000 on a Sony or a Neumann, spend $5,000. You can use this microphone and use software. And they've tested this stuff. It's mirroring it.
Right. So, it's there. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And for me, when you're using like those kind of mic mods, just the fact that it's going to plug into a tube and then plug into something else, you're always going to get a great result versus kind of like a cheap mic. I mean, you're gonna pay $1,000 for that Slate mic. But it's worth it.
To me by a client, so
but it's worth it.
It was worth it. Yeah,
and you're gonna get at least 4 or 5 different ways to use it. Mm-hmm. I definitely would like the Slate. I've worked with the Slate virtual mic. It's very transparent.
It is. Without the effects, it's still a pretty good mic. The diaphragm's good. So I switched over. I was using for MCs out there. You can buy a Neumann mic, but you could probably get away with the Rode NT2 mic and a good compressor. My secret weapon also for recording vocals, believe it or not, is hardware. I have a Studio Live 1642 mixer. It's old school. It only connects using Firewire 400, so I have to chain it all weird so I can connect to my newer Mac. But there's something called a fat channel, and the frequency, the gate, and the release, and all the compression stuff, I use that before it actually gets into Logic Pro. So there's some treatment coming in. I roll off the frequency response about 30 hertz. Because, I live in a neighborhood, man. This is a home studio. And sometimes you'll get that dude with the low motorcycle or the mufflers. And you don't want.
Right. It's not treated.
Yeah. So, and I do got some treatment here, but it's just not enough. That bass
Right.
comes through anything. So
Right.
that comes out.
So what interfaces are you using?
Okay, so right now I'm just rocking it's called a Big Knob Studio Plus, and the reason why I use this is, first of all, it's Mackie. It's pretty reliable. You can use it for stage use or for the studio, but I can A, B, and C 3 sets of speakers. So I have my small little MK my MR5 Mackie speakers. I got 2 10-inch KRKs. They're pretty loud, 175 watts each. So it's like you're at the club. And then I can do my Aries PreSonus speakers. And so you can toggle between it. Plus, it's a 2-channel interface. I can record 2 channels. If I need to go, I'll just use a PreSonus 1642 if I'm recording a band, like 16 channels all at once. So that is my go-to.
So for those that don't know, that big-ass board you see in the studio is literally for drums and orchestras. You can get by with making passes. For a lot of people, you figure you're going into that studio to record for one or two things, the board or the mic.
Right.
One of the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's dope, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just keep it real simple, man. You can buy all these expensive gear, but if you're not recording orchestras like that, you don't really need it all.
Hell no. Now, what's, when you're talking about you go in, so are you doing most of your heavy lifting with Logic?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what I like to ask this because we're so kind of like comfortable with certain programs. I always want to know why. What made you a Logic guy?
Well, I wasn't always a Logic guy. I'll tell you, when I first started off, I was using Acid Pro 4.0 by Sonic Foundry on a crappy PC, and it held up. We were doing live sessions live and playing along with it like karaoke, doing house music.
Dope.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's like bringing a mainframe up on stage because I really had just like the CRT screen and my big old tower because I couldn't afford a laptop yet. We were just starting off, and once we started making a couple of grand a show, and we bought a Mac, and then we're like, you can't use Sonic Foundry on a Mac, and so I got into Logic Pro, and I had to relearn Logic Pro, and then I realized this is actually a pretty dope DAW to have because it had all the real elements. This is actually, I think it was a German company that used to own it. They used to own it before on a PC, and then Apple acquired it. And Apple did a pretty good job. I mean, they gave you all kinds of synthesizers, 64,000 loops. Not trying to sell it to you, but it's enough for any creative person to get started. You can start with GarageBand, which is a free application from Apple, and then graduate from GarageBand over to Logic Pro without any hiccups. But I subsequently just started using Logic Pro and stuck with it. I'm pretty glad that I did because I did dabble in Ableton Live, but it's just everything was so backwards, and I realized that was more for a live show.
Right.
So, going to be doing a live show coming soon in September, but I'm going to have to use Ableton Live for a few things, or I will use Main Stage by Apple.
I felt that way about Ableton too in the beginning. Whatever it was, like 9, 8, or whatever the hell it was, it was really geared for that in a lot of different ways. Like just it felt like everything was, to your point, backwards.
Yeah.
And then they released 10, and I think they're on 10.9 or 11, whatever they're on. This version is actually not that bad. It's actually pretty straightforward, and things they turned it around a little bit, and it's not as CPU intensive.
Yeah, that's what I like about it. So I'm relearning it, and I'm going to be bringing my Native Instruments machine and my complete S6049 key keyboard on stage, and then I'm going to be routing stuff through the PreSonus. I'm still trying to work out the kinks because I do want to get that sidechain compression live, and you can definitely accomplish that in Ableton Live for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now, what's some of the craziest stuff that you've seen? Or for an example, what's one of the craziest setups you had to create to because every producer has this story where they show up somewhere or something breaks in the studio and they had to fucking jimmy something together. What's one of the craziest things you had to do to get your work done?
So, okay, I got one. I was in Oregon and I was asked to DJ, and I get there and dude has got a rotary knob rain mixer, and I don't use rotary knobs at all. Like, I've never practiced. I've never been on one. And long story short, there was somebody in the crowd that just got done DJing. He pulls out his Pioneer S9 or something and puts it on the table. He's like, yo, can you use this? I said, hell yeah. All the effects were there. And I was like, let's do this. So I plugged it in and took that mid-show. I'm DJing with the rotary knob, trying to figure things out and trying to A and B and everything, and he's setting up this thing. And now we're on one left side while the other one is disconnected. And then now it's the left side and the right side's connected because we're disconnecting everything. And I'm running CDJs and vinyl at the same time. I end up pulling it off and getting onto, and then I had to relearn the Pioneer mixer because it was a little different. I wanted to know where all the effects were, but that was kind of stressful. I mean, I must have lost like 5 pounds of water weight because I was stressing, and because I'm a perfectionist, man. I was trying to spin my own music, and I had the crowd like right up, like they were watching everything. And I'm this new guy that came out from California, with the reputation of making house music. And, if my DJing sucked, they would tell my folks back in Cali and I wouldn't be representing, but it wasn't like that at all. It was all in good taste, man. Everybody knew that, I even put it in my writer, but they didn't get it in time or something. And it happens, man. You hear it all the time.
Rotary knobs for DJs.
Yeah.
That's some 1970 disco shit.
Yeah.
But it definitely is not a practical use. Mm-mm. And then that S9, for a lot of people, it is difficult to just hop on that S9 and start doing shit.
Yeah.
Especially when you're used to having your own mixer. Now, you said you like you pressed a lot of stuff on vinyl.
Yeah.
Do you like where the sound is right now, where everyone's kind of going with, or do you see the music kind of wanting to go back to that vinyl?
I think that vinyl to me will never go away because I really love the sound of vinyl. I love cleaning my vinyl. I like the crackle of it, the hi-fi sounding that you get. And again, you can't just master any track and throw it up on vinyl. It's got to be mastered correctly. Otherwise, that needle will bump off the record, So
Right.
I'm hoping that we'll have more people pressing vinyl with the shortage of vinyl plants out there. People are doing them in Germany. In fact, my boy Roving Jewel, that I produced his album, he did his on a 180 gram vinyl record over here, and it came out like you can even see this. It's pretty dope. Like, this is his album right here, and check this out. This is why vinyl is such a cool thing to have. It's a collector's item right here, and it sounds,
Right.
And I'm on this album too. I did the last track called Interstellar Travel by Roving Jewel. But I mean, it's really a collector's. I got my Beastie Boy albums originals out here, not reissues. 2001 Space Odyssey. I mean, it's fun to have vinyl and have those turntables set up.
Well, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just find it funny.
Yeah.
That when the, what was it? LimeWire and all of that stuff was going on, that conveniently,
Mm-hmm.
all these vinyl plants started shutting down. Like, I feel like it was kind of like telling the farmers to throw out the excess or don't make more food. Because I find it hard to believe that they're no longer there.
Yeah.
I just believe that like most, what do you call it? Minimum wage jobs, if you will. They don't want you earning enough to not need them, right? And vinyl brings back the value in music.
It does. You got the sleeves you can look at. I mean, it was trends, right? Tape cassettes went out. Now people are starting to press tapes again.
Right. And an album costs $20 damn bucks.
Yeah.
And it's yours, or $30, or depending on what. Right. Like people will buy them.
Yeah.
And so once again, a platinum album is actually a platinum album. You sell 1 million vinyl.
Beastie Boys, right? Beastie Boys. You open this up, look at this bad boy. You got their whole studio picture and all their lyrics down here. This is what I'm talking about, man. And this is why I like vinyl. I mean, look, it's great to have this stuff. The smell of it, I just love taking vinyl and just bringing it out and putting it on that record player, man. It sounds so good. Of course, I got it on CD. I also have it on MP3s. But I'll spin that Beastie Boys album when my friends come over in the studio. We'll just bust it out, have a glass of wine, and spin records all night, or even get up and just mix in I don't know, record box,
I feel like artists really in general need to press the point of putting things on albums, and allow that to be the new value to claim the power back. If Wu-Tang if RZA didn't sell that track to that asshole investor, he could have probably still sold that one album to somebody, and they would have bought it, because that's how he didn't even know he was telling everyone that's how valuable that vinyl is. You press one up and you got some dope ass shit. That's like you having the only Biggie album that nobody else has.
Yeah.
You know how much that shit would be worth?
It's like $2 million, right?
Yeah, I think it was like $2 million.
Yeah. Exactly.
But that's how much it's worth.
Yeah.
If you make one and you got some dope ass shit, you're a Tupac, Biggie, shit. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
If you're the only one with that vinyl, that shit is worth a lot of fucking money. And he told everyone basically the blueprint that we're all fighting for streams and follows and likes. Man, put that shit on vinyl, man. Make that shit a fucking painting, artwork.
I always try to encourage people, man. If you see something on Bandcamp and they're selling vinyl, I would pick it up, because it's rare. You don't see that too often, especially if you're a collector. I have about 600 records. It's not a whole lot, but I could definitely spend a lot more money on it. And I just do it for spinning here. I have played out with some vinyl before, and it's very rare that they have a turntable. If I see it, I'm busting out. I'll always bring a couple of pieces of vinyl with me.
Hell yeah! Now, are you into the controllers versus turntables, or do you like your turntables?
No, I'm into the controllers for sure. I love controllers. I came into the DJing world when CDJs just started. I started off on the CDJ 100 Pioneers. There was no beat mapping. You can't tell nothing. They had no screens. Right. It just had 3 effects, phaser, pitch, or whatever. I know that's how I started learning how to listen and beat map or beat match. But as soon as these things started coming out with the, because I got the DDJ 800 by Pioneer, and I gotta say, man, I got a couple of laughs when I brought that up on stage, because people weren't they weren't ready for it. They were like, "Oh, this poser, man, it's gonna be sync button." Now I'm talking about, now I'm gonna have 4 tracks going, and you're gonna have 2 going. I'm gonna have 4 going, and I'm gonna be mixing in this. I don't care. Yes, they are synced, but I put work in with my track markers, and I have something I'm going to put together. I'm reconstructing people's music just for your enjoyment. And I think that's DJing to me. It's an art form, man. You're expressing music and different genres of music and making it happen. Something that was 90 BPM, you're playing it at 125. You have that low end down, so you just got the mid range going. You got another track playing the kick, another one with the hi hat, and then some vocalists going, some acapella. And it's soulful and it's real, and people are like, "Damn, I don't even have this." They're trying to Shazam it, and they can't, because I'm making it happen right there. And that's what I like to DJ. And if you catch one of my shows, you'll see what I'm saying.
So, but you bring up a great point in that, you're saying like, I'm DJing, on Serato's 4 turntable setup.
Yeah, I'm on record. Yeah.
On record box.
Yeah.
Most people ain't doing 4 turntables at a time.
Yeah.
So that definitely is work. Do you go in with a set playlist of what you're gonna do, or do you organically come up with what you're trying to do? Or
well, I'm not gonna lie, dude, because I don't DJ that often. I'm more of a musician, like more live. Right. So I'll come up with my set list. I'll have like 2 or 3 of them going, but then I'll just kind of fill out the crowd, listen to the DJ before me and look at the list of DJs that are playing. And so if there's someone who's really rocking out, I'm gonna keep it going with something a little bit harder. Maybe I'll go Dirty Bird, or maybe I'll do like I don't know, Blue Six, something really like jazzy and really soulful and sexy, But
right.
Yeah, I do go in with the playlist. It's not like I'm going down the playlist. It's just I've kind of fill the crowd. You kind of have to fill the crowd. So there was a point where I started my show with the 2001 Space Odyssey. I brought that up a little bit ago, and I did the whole dun 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 dun.
Right.
The crowd just split. Right. I'm like, oh, okay, I just lost everybody. Like 200 people on the floor. Everybody leaves. But then they start trickling back, and they're raising their glass, and everyone's cheering because it's getting to the part. And then I slam one of my beats in there, and it just fit like a glove. And that right there is house music to me, because you can come up with something. And then I ended my set with Lenny Kravitz. It ain't over until it's over. And I killed it. It was a 1.5 hour set, and I just, it was fun, man. And I just got creative with it. I played some MJ in there, just a lot of funk, and you just have to have fun with it, man. Just be experimental, get out there, fill the crowd. There's a lot of these techno artists, and I say techno because they're really into techno, and so they'll come right in and just with their genre of techno and not even fill the crowd, because all they're looking for is just to amp themselves. And you just you're doing it for the people, right? This is why they're hired you, so you can perform for somebody. Right.
Now talk about this new project that you got going on, and did you mix, you master it yourself, or are you working with a team? Describe like what all went into this new project you got going on.
Well, first I put out Conceptualize in January. I put it out on January 6th, and it was a couple of days before the riots at the Capitol. So I almost didn't release it because of that, because I was trying to feel the temperament of Facebook. I believe in violence and racism and all that stuff, and just had a terrible president. I mean, it was just bad all around. All around, man.
He said it was just bad, man.
It was
just bad.
COVID, and that's how I was feeling. Conceptualize was my first album, and it just, with all the frustrations of the world that was going on, that album was produced in 6 months. I was working from home. I'd go out my lunch break, listen to the beat, and it'd be done. Every track was mixed and mastered every day. So it was written, mixed and mastered every single day. I came up with the track. And it was consecutively, I had written like 33 tracks, and I only took 12. So I brought in some MCs, basically created an album. This is my first one. I've never done an album before. I always do EPs. Well, that came, and it's still growing. I mean, my following on Spotify is pretty big. Just look up Andrew Lozano. It's getting there. But I decided I was going to take elements from my first album and create the second one. And then I ended up scrapping all of that and creating a brand new album. And this one's called High Tide. I have something that I want to bring to my listeners and my fans, and it has to do with the ocean. I'm really big on the ocean for some reason. We've been going there with my wife and kids, and the ocean has a lot of life in it, and a lot of undiscovered worlds in the ocean. And so a lot of the songs start with the ocean. And this is going to be a beautiful electronic music. I'm not looking to do one genre. I have a little bit of rock, a little bit of soul, a little bit of lo-fi, and artists like Bonobo, Tycho. I'm just trying to do something real experimental. I'm bringing in vocals, folk rock singers. I had this girl named Katie Fry who came in. I worked with her in the past. Her angelic vocals are so airy. You guys are going to love this track. It's called The Tide on my album, High Tide. I'm bringing in some artists. I'm going to try to do a live show in September, and that's going to be my record release party.
Dope. Where can they find your music and anything Andrew Lozano?
Andrew Lozano, you Google search that name, you're going to find some guy that just got out of jail, and then you'll see me, and then you'll see a doctor or dentist, right? I'm the one that looks like this right here, okay? But you can
just got out of jail, man.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. It's andrew.lozano on Instagram. And please follow me, man. It's important that you follow your artist. Do the research, listen to my music, see if you like what you're hearing. I'm going to take you on a journey from start to finish with Conceptualize. This next album's coming out, so get acquainted with the sound that I'm bringing to y'all, because it's really special to me, and I know it'll be special to you once you start listening. I'm just looking at the chat, it's
dope, man, dope. And you're right, especially given the year that all artists went through, as far as not being able to do what they do consistently, play out and go out and market and stuff like that. It's important that people remember that artists are the bartenders, the hostesses, the chefs, the waitresses. They're the same thing. We serve up art for you guys to feel hopeful, inspired, and it behooves anybody to go out there and support your local artist and support what you're doing. And I'm pretty sure, like I said, Orlando's gonna rock with you, man. And it's always good to have our people from Sacramento represent over here, man. And your girl sent me some of the music, so I'm looking forward to rocking that on the radio. And
sure. Yeah. So, and it's kind of funny because out here in Sacramento, there's something called the Beat Gauntlet. And, it's so hard to keep up with all the radio stations and stuff, on Facebook and all the groups and stuff. But these guys have been doing it for a while. My boy Nightlife runs it too. And Aries, my girl that's helping with my publicist, basically is like, hey, you need to just send your album over there. It's a beat battle. Your beats will probably compete. I get on this beat battle, and dudes are like with some hard ass trap beats, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm over here with this slow 90 BPM. But I kept up, and they critiqued every one of my songs, and they're like, this is dope. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to my Facebook and just drill down. You'll see the battle. I kept up with some really cool folks called this dude named Arsenic, who's a really good producer out here in Sacramento. And I've heard of him many times before. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going against Arsenic. And I beat him, and I didn't beat this next guy, but the dude actually reached out. Everyone was really cool. It just felt really good to, not in a competitive way, but it felt good that I was able to compete musically and dynamically. My music was big, and it told a story. It wasn't just loops. You once you hear it, every transition takes you into the next room. And so I encourage you guys, check out Conceptualize, man. It means a lot. And send me messages. And then my next one, High Tide. So it's important to support your local artists. I would love to come out to Orlando, or just go get out to the East Coast, period, and do some more shows out there.
Yeah.
It's been kind of tough, but I know the bookings are going to be coming soon in the Bay Area here. I'm going to be wrapping it up, get my visuals going on, and put together a really, really nice hip-hop show. I'll bring some artists and try to show you what my interpretation of music is all about.
Absolutely. Well, we're looking forward to that. Please believe us, man. We rocking with you out here too, man. We're more powerful in numbers, and we're more powerful with creativity as well when we come together. So we're looking forward to that, man. You stay in touch, brother. And man, you're always welcome back on the show, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you, man.
All day long, man. Give it up for Andrew Lozano on the Sound of Orlando show, man. Thank you. Man, it's amazing. We're back. Calendar should be out soon. Kind of give you guys a rundown of how this month is looking. We possibly will be taking a hiatus. Don't know what date that's going to be. But until then, we rocking. So once again, man, thank you for everybody that tuned in tonight. And I meant what I said in the beginning. You know, if you know anybody that's suffering from depression or feeling down, don't be a jerk. Reach out to them, man. Just, you know, ask them how they're doing. It doesn't take much, man, to inspire people and make people feel like the world gives a shit about them being here. And if we really look at the truth, we do care about our people being here, just like we would want people to care about us being here. Our sponsor of the night is 5stargraphics.com. My man, Jesse Jazz, not only a legendary DJ, legendary promoter, but he's a legendary graphic art designer in the city. If you need printing of any sort, yo, check them on them. All right? It's what we do. And I will leave you with what we brought you in here with. It's on my heart to share good tunes from a good place to inspire people to be more loving and forgiving and more empathetic to one another. This is what we do. Restore y'all.
Yeah, over the years I've been alive, I've been through struggles, but I never gave up. It wasn't my construct, see my brothers caught up, served years and undoubtedly re-enter society blindly. No matter what I said to him, maybe I didn't listen enough for me to settle and wind up in prison. I watched my friend die at the age of 17, knowing that he had dreams that he would not see. Yeah, I made mistakes, many held them against me. Brother, I was lost, the pain was unfriendly, broken, hands being cut by glass. Never thought I'd grow old, but it went by fast. Biggest question that I ever had is, did I do what I wanted to do with no regrets, or did I waste time upset? Some years have been lost behind it. I was reminded when I lost my wife and kids, I was debilitated, depressed and very insulated, headed for a future alone and uneducated. A proverbial statistic, never had a father that taught me by wisdom I needed when my mom died. At the time I couldn't cry, it's like a misplaced time, even though she may have left thinking I would be fine. It's a shift in the paradigm that would define every step going forward. What else could I do but to leave this behind? It's time to make moves. Luckily I found my muse. From destruction to reconstruction, forgiveness rules.
Orlando has long been known as the City Beautiful, also known as the city with a
Sound. Live on stage. The sound.
Orlando!
So, is they ready?
You mean to say that's the best you can do? Hip hop is something you live. Almost anybody could do better than that. You know? Okay, the sound of Orlando!
Show.
Knock this down like it's supposed to be.
On your FM dial.
Blast this is to turn the whole this up.